What's up, fellow filmmaking friends? Josh here with Running Scared Motion Pictures, and today I'm beyond excited because I have with me
Carolyn Sicbaldi.
Carolyn, it's so great to have you on. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on, Josh.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, gosh, where do I start? I have worked with you on the Hollow Signal just recently.
Awesome. Love that for us. So what now?
And I'm really only just gotten into filmmaking as of just this past year. I just graduated from Smith College as a non-traditional student, and I actually majored in geosciences, but I minored in film and media studies. And I always say to people that film was my first love, and that I love cinema, I love making movies, I love creating with people, and I wanted to find a way to marry the two, so I kind of did, but I've definitely been erring more towards the film side of things as of late.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, we got to work on that project, and I'll be honest, like, your energy was phenomenal. You made the project so much better.
Get the hell out of here, Shelly!
We talked about this earlier before we started filming. One of the things that meant a lot to me is the martini shot, right? When you're finally done at the end of the day, you've worked super hard, project's finally wrapped, you blew up. I yelled, cut that last time, and like you did, you got the rest of the room going. And I think if you didn't do that, like we were all tired, we were all beat down, nobody was gonna say anything. We were just gonna like walk off and be done. So Thank you for letting that moment be like powerful.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's kind of a joke that I like to make, is just like, it's from Tim and Eric. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but there's like
Their awesome show. Yes, I am.
There's an old clip of Bob Odenkirk with, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name, but like he just goes like, "We got it" at the end of filming something, and it's like, I've always thought that was very funny. So I think I probably said "we got it" or something along the lines. So, but I do really mean it. It's exciting to be able to accomplish something and make something great with people and work like hell to get there, you know?
You brought up the term filmmaking, so be a little bit more specific. What is it that you're doing in the industry these days?
Well, I guess I would consider myself sort of a jack of some trades, I guess. I really was interested in crew to start, but I definitely have started to realize the value in acting and how acting can make you a better cinematographer or someone working crew, and vice versa. Because it's good to know both sides of the camera, the front and the back. And I feel like I just really love to make great art with people. And I love the idea of making movies, making an impact, editing things in a certain way. So that's a long way of saying that, like, I worked crew for Gino McGahee, who I know that Lindsay had recently brought up. I worked on Dark Places through some sort of divine fate. Gino and I met, which is a whole other story. But he kind of allowed me to he took me under his wing, and he had me work audio. He had me work camera. He had me as a side character. I had my Tubi debut very briefly, but it was there. And then I worked for you doing acting, and it kind of made me realize that, like, I like both aspects of making movies. Is working camera, editing, audio is all just as valuable as the actors that you're working with.
When I wrote this story, it was kind of, I've mentioned this before, like I'm a big Ferris Bueller's Day Off fan. And one of the things that's cool about that story is, like, Ferris Bueller's not the main character. It's about Cameron. It's about the friend. It's about their journey. And like in this story, like, yeah, Harper's the main character, but like it's about May's journey. Like and I just thought like having this thing unfold in her eyes and like through her point of view was kind of like the way I was trying to like frame this out a little bit. I mean, you're the ride or die through the whole film. You know, you go through some stuff with the main character. So it was cool to see, but your performance was, I brought it up with Lindsay. There's a car scene that you two did, and we did very few takes in that. You guys just murdered it. It came out so good.
You could really feel the tension there, I think. Maybe it was just that, like, it was really, really cold. That could be it too. But yeah, I really like that one too, how it came out. It's just, yeah, you can really feel a lot of tension. But yeah, maybe this is the Hollow Signal too. What's May's story? May,
I don't
what's
know.
your story?
Honestly, I'm ready to. There's so many things that I'm like working on now. It's like,
yeah.
there's definitely a move on, but I feel like the next projects I'm going to try to do are going to be like things that I want to like do film festival runs with, try to be more serious, not just like show weird images or try to scare people like that, but like to try to like tap in and tell stories, like start to finish, make them emotional, make them connect with people. Like that's what I'm after from here on forward.
Definitely. Yeah.
So you mentioned you've done some crew side, but I brought this up before we were filming as well. You blew my mind. You were watching some feedback or some footage back on the camera and you were like, hey, how do you disable focus peaking? And I was like, oh, preset 2. And you just reached right over, disable it. And I was like, I've got dudes that I've worked with that like tell me they're camera people that don't even know what you just did. And you're just like, you know, the presets and the buttons. It was awesome to see. So have you been working on Blackmagics?
Well, to be fair, I think that was one of the few things I know about Blackmagic. But I mean, like I worked, so another project that I'm working on right now is a movie called Kershaw. And all of the people that I work with crew on that, they also work with like all Blackmagics, maybe some Canons, but Blackmagic is the gold standard, I think, these days. I myself have a Sony, but I think that they're great. And what I like about a Blackmagic is that the interface is actually kind of really streamlined in that there are very few buttons up top. So if you say preset 2, there's a button that says 2. So I know, big brain moment for me.
It was, though. Yeah. I'm telling you, I've seen people miss that before. I'm like, you know what the preset buttons are, right? Like, come on, they're on top.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, I think that on both Dark Places and Kershaw, it's been a lot of Blackmagic work. And I've learned a lot of different things about a lot of different pieces of equipment. And it's all been such a learning experience fresh out of school. And I've learned a lot. So
out of all the things you've done so far, acting, crew side, what's been your favorite?
Ooh, well, honestly, I would. This makes it sound like I'm really gassing you up, but I really enjoyed the Hollow Signal in that it was such a deviation from what I had done before. I think that, like, I know the crew stuff. I know where to look, what to do, what equipment to lug into the room, but like being able to like sit there and take a break from all that and just to be able to like really tap into a character and think about what acting is and how different it or not different it should be from my real self. Like sometimes the best actors are not the ones that like just yell at the top of their lungs. I feel like the Oscars, people think that an Oscar moment is like just yelling, but I think it's about like really honing in on a character, and I think it's good to make them feel genuine. And I tried my best to make May be a genuine reflection of myself. So yeah, I also like editing. So I think that I don't get to edit very much, but I mean, you had offered for me to maybe do a cut, release the Sicbaldi cut.
You should do like a black and white or an alternate cut or something, you know,
I'll make it real weird.
Yeah, right. The footage is there. We shot a lot. We've got some cool stuff in there. There's a lot that I'm proud of. I've mentioned it before, coming back, took a 2-year break. There's some things that needed some work. So I'll get better on the next one, always improve,
All a learning experience.
It is. Yeah. So you said acting with me was the first time, and I really appreciate that you said, that was one of your favorite things. That's cool. Yeah. What was your experience like? Was acting different than you thought it was going to be? Was it kind of similar to what you thought it was going to be that day?
I mean, I guess it just goes right back into what I was saying before about like knowing both sides of the camera, is that like, I feel like because I'm so familiar with like, okay, let's do one more take just for safety, or like, let's do one more take and I really want to focus on this aspect now. Like, I feel like I can almost, with my mind's eye, see behind the camera and see what you are seeing, or at least visualize it, because it's like, you're saying, I really like how you did blah, 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 blah. And so being able to be like, okay, I should really hone in on that.
Well, I think that's an interesting point that you bring up, because as an actor or actress, like depending on what they're doing with the camera, is it locked off on sticks? Are they on a gimbal? Is it handheld? Mm-hmm. You can figure out what they're going for, what the tone is and what the feel is. And I've said this before on the podcast, but like filming with an actor or actress, like, again, not to sound weird, but like it's intimate. Like you have to get locked in. Like you're watching their every movement. Like you're trying to capture the best. You're like, it's like a dance almost. And I would have to imagine, like as an actor, actress, like you're also picking up on that. Like there's a camera in front of you when you're trying to act natural in this situation, and like there's lights and, you know, all this stuff going on. But like, if you know the camera side of it, I would have to imagine when you're acting, like it would make things make more sense. Like, okay, they're handheld right now, so they're looking for the shaky look. So I need to be a little bit more, you know,
dynamic.
Yeah, something like that.
Sure. Yeah, totally. I mean, the camera loves me is maybe something that like means a little bit more than what it actually means. Is like, you really want to, intimate is such a perfect word for it. Like you get close to I don't know. You really know when you know what is going on behind the camera, or like, you know, that you can get this close. I don't know. Like I can imagine that a lot of filmmakers I work with, they do manual focus. So I'm like, well, I can't get that much closer or else I'm going to go out of focus. That sort of thing. That's a good example of just like being aware of these, like the minutia of filmmaking. Really, I think that's why a lot of people, they maybe act in things that they direct in, or like vice versa, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's good to know things behind the camera.
So we talked a little bit about what you're doing today, but what got you into all this craziness?
Well, so it's funny. I actually put this in my admissions essay for Smith College. Several years ago, I think it was like 2006 to 2009, my dad had this very old, like, I think it was a Sony camcorder, and from like the 90s, and we got a hold of it, me and my friends, and maybe I've always been a director, but every time they came over, I was like, all right, we are shooting a skit today. And like I was editing in camera. I was like, you guys messed up that shot. I have to rewind the tape so that we can film it again. And it was a great, and they were also, I mean, God bless them. They dealt with my bossy energy, I guess, but it was
creative energy, I would say. I don't know about bossy creative.
That's right, Josh. But yeah, they dealt with my bossy creative energy, and I think that's what I meant when I said like film was my first love, is that like I was always really drawn to the idea of, no matter how stupid it was, like creating something that I was proud of, and like I was like, oh, this is dramatic. I remember filming shots being like, oh my God, this is so good. And now I watch it and I'm like, okay, girl, it wasn't that great. But yeah, so that was, many, many years ago. And then I got into the sciences. Like, I think I tried and failed college a few times. I wasn't in the right headspace. And then when I went back, when I got accepted to Smith, I finished out. And so now I also work for Mass Audubon. So that was my blending of science and film was, now I film a lot of events that they do, just for creating certain packages for teachers and educators about working on conservation or educating about conservation. So that's something I do, I guess, as a day job. And then the filming is the night job, filming for, the creative efforts, I guess.
Going forward, what do you think you're going to do the most? Do you think you're going to direct? Do you think you're looking to act? Do you think you're looking to do camera stuff? Like what's got you excited?
It's funny. My fiance actually asked me this question recently of what do you think you prefer more, acting or directing or working crew? And I'm like, I kind of see them as equal now. I think because of the reasons I already mentioned, but just I think I'm looking forward to acting more, but only just slightly. It really is just the slightest amount, just because I really want to explore maybe more characters, maybe have greater roles or maybe work with a director to be how can we make this character just that much better or more interesting. And I think writing could be an interesting foray, but I was telling you earlier, I think I'm a writer. I think I'm a science writer. I don't think I'm a narrative writer, but I certainly feel like I'm able to hear people when they give me an idea, and I can be like, oh, and then they could do this. I love that initial idea, and now I have an idea to build off of that. So not so many original ideas up in here, but yeah.
I think redefining ideas is just as important as coming up with good ones, because again, we were just talking about the draft that I'm working on now. I think I'm on my 8th revision, and it is completely different than where I started. But I talk about this often, like, and again, I've plugged, I think, KT every single time because she says, make it real before you make it perfect. I just think that's like the most important thing. And it's like, once it's real, like it's tangible now. So it makes it like more exciting to dive through and go through and figure out, okay, now how can I make it better? Because your first draft, or at least for me, I mean, I've heard other people talk about this, like this isn't anything I've come up with. Like the first one's like that, like the vomit draft. You just get it on the page. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be spelled right.
Oh, totally.
But you get something, you can see it, and then you just start the revisions and you start honing those ideas. And, you know, I feel like a lot of times when you start writing, you don't have the full story. And it's like, as you keep going, you build it and you keep getting more and more to put back into it. But, you know, I hear you say that, like, you don't know if you're necessarily like this type of writer yet, but I think that's kind of what makes a writer. You take the strengths that you have, and then when you turn it into like this screenwriting or however your format or medium is going to be for it, you're going to have something special. You're going to have your own voice in there that like nobody else has. So like, that's kind of cool that you're not like a traditional like screenwriter or whatever. I think that might help you in the long run.
That could be. Yeah. Maybe like, maybe the world is really missing some, sedimentology films, and I could start writing stuff like that. I've always thought that, like, I feel like my narrative voice or like my eye for cinematography could be used for like a documentary or something like that. And I would love for that to happen. But yeah, I mean, I think that there have been very few climate related movies that I feel did a good job at talking about climate. So maybe that's something that I could look into, you know, like, what are the world-ending movies, you know, whatever those are. Maybe I could make a better one. Who knows?
Is there any projects that you have coming up that you're excited about that you can talk about?
Well, I definitely am very excited about Kershaw, which I brought up earlier. That's directed by some people who were they acted in Dark Places. And also Eric McKellian, he was an associate director of Dark Places, as well as Hannah Berry and Amy DeMar Dubois. They are both working on Kershaw as well. The three of them are directing it, and I was recently promoted to producer, so very exciting about that. But and also, I do know that Gino and I have we've been talking about a lot of potential opportunities in the future. I know that he is currently recutting and reshooting part of one of his movies, Rise of the Scarecrows 2. So, and I think I may be having a part in that. So I can only plug it so much, but keep an eye out for that for sure.
Nice. That's awesome. What are some movies or people that have been like an inspiration to you? Like, what gets you excited about film and cinema?
Well, I definitely... I've been watching a lot of movies these past few years. I've really made an attempt at like trying to get a whole sampling of all the different types of directors and cinematographers out there. And I have found that like, I just love weird stuff, Josh. I just love weird stuff. David Lynch is one of my favorite directors. I feel like Inland Empire, Mulholland Drive, Lost Highway, they all kind of changed my life a little bit because I like it when a movie can just be its weird self and like nobody is asking David Lynch questions. He is just, it is all up here and that's where it needs to stay, is like, or not needs to, but like, you know, he's comfortable in his own weirdness, I guess. And I really admire that. I'm also just a big horror fan in general. I recently watched Frankenhooker. I got this sticker recently from my friend. I don't know if you've ever seen Frankenhooker.
I have not.
Oh my God, it's Frank Henenlotter. He's a director. He also did Basket Case, and he did another one called Brain Damage. Just these really weird horror movies. I'm sure you're sensing a theme here. So, but I think that like really, I like directors and cinematographers who are just comfortable in their own niche, I guess. I also just watched a movie, Repo Man.
The genetic opera?
No. We were just making a joke about that. We should just have a double feature of Repo Man and Repo the Genetic Opera. But no, Repo Man was a film from, I think, the 80s, directed by this guy, Alex Cox. And it was, the person who did the cinematography was, I think it's Robert Mueller, but I feel like that's wrong. But anyway, he's a cinematographer who also is like comfortable in his niche, where it's like he uses a lot of natural light, daylight, and does not rely on like external light sources to kind of create a scene. It's just more like very natural, and I think that it's something that I can really admire.
You know, the more I get into this, the more I'm like starting to really care about like that look and shaping your image and making things like yours. I brought this up earlier when we were talking off camera, and I'm getting ready to invest in some anamorphic lenses because we're shooting on now. This is the Sigma Art Series 18 to 35. I love it. It's my
Sigmas
workhorse.
are great.
This lens has been phenomenal. It lives on this camera. The zoom's internal, so it doesn't change the weight of the camera. So when it's on the gimbal, I can it gives me a lot of like overhead.
That's so cool. I actually didn't know that. Wow.
There's no moving mechanism in it, so it doesn't change the balance at all. So it's real slick. But the problem is it's just really clean and really clinical. Like it looks great. It's good for documentary stuff, but like I'm looking for something that's going to give me that like my look. I know my cinematography has my style. I know my color grading has my style, but now I'm looking for like that next thing to just, you know, let it breathe. And like, speaking of the breathing, like that's what I like about the anamorphic. I think they have so much character to them. And I think the downside to them is that the shortest focal length I'll be able to get is 33 millimeters. And on my 6K, there's a little bit of a crop. So it's still, you know, it's not like running a 12 or an 18.
Yeah.
But for the stuff that I want to shoot, I'll just try to give myself a little bit more space and make it happen. But I'm going to grab the 33 and either the 50 or the 85. And I've got a couple of projects coming up where I'll be using those. And I just think that's important. I think every part of our art is really about how we shape it. And it's like, it takes us a long time to be able to do all the things that we need to do. But that's kind of what I was like talking about earlier when, you know, about your style. Like maybe it's not like you're not in this vein yet, but like David Lynch probably wasn't either. And that dude sat down and wrote this and now like,
yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, he sure did. He sure did.
So I just recently turned 40. And on the Saturday that I did, I watched the first episode of Twin Peaks. So it was like an hour and a half long.
I have my tattoo, my Twin Peaks tattoo. It's this one.
The song is so iconic. It's
so
just
beautiful.
Yeah. It's somebody that, you know, my buddy Rob White, great friend of mine, who actually, when I started Running Scared, was like a big part of it. He was in like my old podcast series. He was on one of those and we did a lot of writing together and stuff. And he was a big Twin Peaks guy. So he was at this apartment in Chicopee. We used to go over there all the time and we watched like the first season, but I haven't seen it in a while now. So I wanted to just like get the feel and the tone for it. Cause not that I'm trying to like use that style, but again, like going forward, I'm trying to find my voice and my vision. So I'm doing something similar where I'm like trying to expand my horizon and watch a bunch of different stuff to see what's out there and who I like.
Totally. And yeah, and I think that every time you watch Twin Peaks, it's a brand new experience almost. And what a wonderful birthday present to yourself to watch a weird show.
I started with that in the morning and I watched In the Mouth of Madness at night.
Oh, nice. Amazing. That's so good.
Filmmaking, something that not a lot of people get into. I feel like there's not a lot of female directors. So I'll just say like, as like a younger female, like what was the appeal? Like what brought you into like wanting to do film? Like
that's interesting. I never really considered like gender as an aspect of it, but I think that it adds an important element, whether you want it to or not, whether you mean to or not. Like, I think that, I don't know. I don't want to say something like a woman's touch, but like, I think that things can be more emotionally charged, like in a good way. Like if there's a woman behind the camera and, it's funny, the people I'm working with on Kershaw, their production name is Wayward Women Productions. And I think that is before Eric kind of came on to before he became one of the directors, it was just the two of them, just Amy and Hannah. And like, I think that it's so important to have camaraderie in the industry. I think that it can feel isolating for women. I think especially like, I mean, I'm not out in Hollywood or anything, but like, I think I know enough about my experience as a woman to know that it can be a little bit stifling to be in an industry where it's like a lot of dudes. No offense, you're one of the good ones. But like, I think that like, it's also very technologically, it's very tech forward. And I guess I'll be the first to say that like, I think there's a lot of things that like I'm learning about cameras and tech and audio and all these things that like, sometimes it feels like I've had experiences where it feels like someone is talking to me as if these are the terms I've heard for the first time, you know, as if I haven't already had these experiences. So I guess that's more of a gendered perspective. But when it comes to like actually filmmaking in general, I don't know if there's a tangible difference between like that I was ever intending with my work to be like woman centric, but maybe there is, albeit slight, like maybe something I was thinking about like subconsciously, you know? Does that make sense?
No, it does. And you brought up the term woman's touch like in this, and you're absolutely right. Like, trust me, as a guy, like I brought up the thing about the fridge before. Like, I swear to God, I'll open it up and I'm like, where is it? My wife's like, it's on the door. I look, it's not there. And I'm like, she's going to come back. It's going to be here. So I look again. I'm like, no, it's not. She'll walk over. She opens the fridge. It's right. And she's like, it's right. I'm like, but it wasn't there. Like, what? So it's like,
you've got your in for it when she's coming over.
And I'm like, she's going to pull it out. It's right where she said it was. And I looked twice and it wasn't there. And every time it's there. And I'm like, so yes, like there is something to that. Actually, I actually just pitched a script to, and like, that's what I brought up. Like, as like a male with my limited experience, like what I want to do is like, when you write something or you're trying to put this much effort into a project, you want as many people to see it. Mm-hmm. Your audiences should be split, like men and women, right? So like if you want the most people to get to see it, and it's like, you're right. There's ways you can write dude films where like, you know, whether it's like gratuitous nudity or over the top violence or just even like the crude humor that doesn't appeal to everybody. But like, I think you could have the script that starts off like that, but if you pulled a female in to look at it and be like, okay, here's the starting point, but how can we get more people to be like involved and want to get eyes on this project? Like I'm not saying people should do things to get like the most views. You should make the art that you want to make, but at the same time, like I want to make art that people are going to see. So like, yes, I'll make my vision, but at the same time, if I can bring somebody else's creative aspect into it that can give me a new perspective that I never would have thought about or known before, like why would I like miss out on the opportunity, you know?
Totally. And like, to what you said about like, you know, gratuitous nudity or violence, I think there's definitely a way that you can do it tastefully. Like, I mean, I would certainly put gratuitous nudity and violence in my movie, but maybe in a different way. Like, and yeah, I mean, you want your film to appeal to as far of a reach as possible and appeal to a general audience if the film is meant for that. But like, yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and I think it's an important aspect that I hadn't even really considered before. Even
when I write dialogue, like when you have like a younger female character, like I'm a 40-year-old dude. Like what business do I have writing dialogue for a 20-year-old girl?
It's
like,
not bad.
It's like, it's tough, you know, but it's like, that's why like when I do table reads and stuff, for me, it's important to like have the actors and actresses interject like what they think's important. I'm willing to change things up until as we're recording, because like, new ideas pop up, things can get better. And it's like, as you get to know the characters more and more, and as you film with them, like new ideas do pop up. And I feel like it's not just a woman's touch, but it's my experience. I'm not trying to be controversial or like shit on guys here, but like women pay more attention to detail. Like if I was going to pull a script supervisor on for a project, I'm probably looking for a female. I feel like she's going to do a better job than a guy would.
Hey, I agree with that opinion. No controversy here.
That'll be
You're canceled, Josh.
My first negative comment was like, "Oh, screw you, guys are smart too." And then like, watch the dude that'll leave that comment that night. He'll be like looking in his fridge, and his wife will be like, "It's on the door," and like, "It's not."
Damn it.
Oh no, that's awesome. So, okay, so you think it's just being a female though? I would think like, we don't see like as many females in not just acting. Obviously, I think there's probably as many actors for, you know, that are female, but like on the crew side, I mean, there are plenty that do it, but I feel like it's less likely. What was your appeal? Like, did you just always know that you were going to stick with media? I know you said you had a camera when you were younger and stuff, but like, was there anything else that like really tugged you artistic wise? Like, were you like, maybe I could sing, maybe I could draw? Do you have any abilities like that?
I actually do. I mean, I used to do, it's funny. Okay. I actually really have like quite a pattern in my life where like I was really interested in filmmaking, and we did that for several years with my dad's camcorder. And then like, it petered out a little bit. When I was a kid, I also like, I drew a lot. I was super into drawing, and like, I still think that I'm good, but like, it just kind of petered out. And I was always just like, why can't I ever stick with some of these things? And I think partially it's because I had undiagnosed ADHD, but like also I always felt competition really dragged me down. I was always like, well, I love to make movies, but my movie's never going to be as good as these people. Or like, well, I love to draw, but then I got to high school and I started taking like art classes and I was like, oh man, I'm not that good. And then I would just stop because I was discouraged by like a level of competition. And boy, is it a competitive industry or what? Like filmmaking in general is like, I mean, not quite, but I think it can be. Like, I think people are inspired by each other, but I also think like maybe more on the Hollywood side of things, people are just trying to make like the next big thing. And I think that it's what you and I have done and like what other people I've worked with have done are just like, just doing it for the love of the game is just something that I really appreciate. And it makes it so that like, hey, even if my thing isn't that other thing, like I like it. I love it because it is mine. This is my thing and there are many like it, but this one is mine, sort of thing.
Same thing for me. It's like everybody's art is their own individual expression of their experience and a culmination of their lives and what they find valuable enough to put on screen in front of people. And I like seeing that stuff. I've been watching a lot of Tubi lately, a lot of like low budget stuff. And I'll be honest, some of it I can't get through and I click off after a few minutes, but some of it like you can find some really good stuff with a lot of heart where it's like, okay, so the budget's not there. They're not shooting on Aries. The lighting's not the craziest, but like the story is really innovative.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, one of the things I just started watching, I think it was out for a while before, but I know he just dropped it on his YouTube channel. Robert Rodriguez, we talked about him before on the channel. He, 25 years ago, he made a movie called El Mariachi for like the tagline is for $7,000, but it was actually for much less than that. And this dude basically grabbed a camera and was like sick of like nobody helping him. And he went out and he just made a movie. He did basically everything himself. And he was forced to be so innovative and come up with like all these ways to like fight himself out of no budget and, you know, all these restrictions. And is the movie perfect? No, but for what he did, it's absolutely amazing. But recently on his YouTube channel, he had done a series where it's a 25-year reunion. So he got 5 filmmakers, gave them each $7,000, gave them 14 days to film their feature film because that's what he had. And I'm shocked at how good it is. It's got so much depth to it. Like the characters or the filmmakers, they go through so much like through the process. Like almost all of them have like a mental breakdown at some point because again, shooting a feature film in 14 days is insane. And then it's like they have to do pre-production in a certain way. And it's funny because a lot of them get irritated because they're also part of a show. So they're in the middle of trying to make their movie, but they have to stop to interview for the show. And so it's got some really cool elements to it, but it's on the YouTube, it's like a 4.5 hour thing. And I haven't got to see the actual like finished feature films yet, but it does give you a breakdown of like what the filmmakers did like afterwards and stuff. So I would recommend it to anybody. I'll throw it actually in the description on this channel too, but I'm looking for stuff like that. I want to find people's journeys and, you know, see what their style is and how they're doing things because, you know, Chris Salvi, he's somebody I had on the show, you know, early on, and his noir style is completely different than anything that I shoot. But if I work on a project or if I even just watch some of his work, like I can be inspired by it and learn from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think that like, I don't know, these are all the experiences that, yeah, definitely make you a better creator or like just a more powerful and I don't know, just a stronger person in general, creatively and mentally, emotionally, etc. So
one of my favorite questions to ask people is if there was somebody new that was thinking about getting into this, what would you say to them? And actually, what I think is cool about this is like you've mentioned, like you're newer to this. So I feel like for somebody like you just had those experiences and those feelings not too long ago. So if there's somebody watching this right now and they're like, you know what, I want to act or I'm a younger female and I want to pick up a camera. Maybe I want to direct. What'd you say to them?
I see you. And you should definitely just don't doubt yourself. I think that similarly, I think that like, I think about it all the time. Like, what would I tell my younger self is just like, don't let your own like, you know, fears or lack of confidence in something or in general just stop you from just trying. And also reaching out to anyone, no matter what your level of experience is, because I'll tell you, the way that I got involved with Gina McGahee, I said earlier it was a long story, now I'm going to tell it. Last year when I had just graduated from Smith and I actually was very lucky, and I started working pretty immediately because I was doing a research project, a geo-related research project. And my fiance is a high school teacher, and he runs an after-school games club where the kids get together. They can play D&D or board games or what have you. And he noticed a student in the class that had mentioned several times that her dad was a director, a local director. He does like horror movies in Chicopee and the surrounding area. And me, about to, was graduating college, fresh out of college, I was like, oh my God, get me in touch with this guy. And I was like, I'm just going to email him. And I like poured over this email, like just my heart and soul. And I was just like, do I just tell him that I'll be on crew? Like, no, I shouldn't even insinuate that he needs someone on crew. Like, maybe I should just say, do you want to just get a coffee and talk? Like, about filmmaking? I'm fresh out of college, even though I'm 30, and I would love to know more. And he was just like, yes, I have this movie called Dark Places coming up. Would love to have you on. Like, you're going to love my crew. Like, and he just immediately took me under his wing. And like the chain of events, the degrees of separation between me and Gino, but like the perfect storm that like led to us working together, which led me to meeting Lindsay, which led me to meeting you, like meeting Eric and Hannah and Amy and all these people that I'm working with. And now I'm talking to Nick Verdi, I hope I'm saying his name right, who was also in Dark Places, and like he wants to do his own work. Like he reached out to me recently, and it's just like it's just like a domino effect, and it all started because I just took a leap of faith and emailed Gino and was just like, and that's why I'm sitting here today, which is just crazy to think about,
It was funny because Lindsay was literally like, that's how we met. She was like, oh, I have somebody I just worked with on this project. She's great. Like, do you have any spot for him? I'm like, yeah, I need a May. Have her read for it. And then I met you and you showed up and I was like, oh, this is awesome. So yeah, it's like it's the connections you make, but you can't make those connections unless you put yourself out there. And not everybody, but it's been my experience for the most part. Like, obviously, like, if you're shooting your shot at like productions that are like hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're probably going to get rejected right off the bat. Like, they probably don't need production assistants. And if they do, they have a certain way that they funnel those people in. But like, if you find somebody that's at a certain level where it's like, they're doing their own production and, reach out. Like, they're regular people they're always looking for creatives. They talk about it a lot in the job market right now, where everybody's like, all right, do I hire somebody that has the skills, or do I hire somebody that I like, that I can teach the skills? Because there's just certain things you can't teach people. Acting, like, not just acting, but like filmmaking, like, yeah, like you need the skills, but like you're with these people for long days. Like, you're with these people when tensions are high and things aren't going right. And like, you need to make sure that like everybody just like, they're a certain type of way. And I think that's more important to me than their skill, to be perfectly honest. I like people that are like ride or dies, ready to go. Like, you're going to get a project done because they're ready to like fight for it. And it's like, you'll meet those people, and it's like, everybody's people are different, right? But like, you'll meet your people if you just put yourself out there. Get on a crew. That's going to lead to another crew and another crew and another crew. Everybody that's working on that project, they're not just working on that one project. They have things, like you mentioned, they want to write, they want to shoot, they're working on. Like, that's how you do it. You get in that vein and it'll just explode from there.
Right, exactly. There's always, and I think that you made a really good point about just like, well, of course, like, it's more about like starting small. I think that's a very good logical reframing of it, is like, yes, being ambitious is important, and yes, reaching out is important, but it's good to have a realistic take on things and know that like starting small is still so important, and it leads to the big things. Maybe someday you and I will just both be sitting in Hollywood and saying, oh, remember that feature film we made for millions of dollars, or, whatever. Nice. That would be really nice. But I think that like, yeah, it's all about the people, people say this for every other industry, and like, and it's true, but like, I also think that like, yeah, I think I accurately conveyed my eagerness to Gino. And I think that's like, it's important to just have people who, yeah, will show up and like be the cheerleader, say, we got it when we're done. Like, it's so, I have always found in any aspect of my life that I've been in is like, it's so not conducive to making a good product of anything, or like feeling good mentally if you're just always like, oh my God, I have to do this thing. Like, or like, oh my God, we got to shoot 5 more scenes today or whatever. It's like, yeah, and it'll get done. Like, we will shoot it and then we'll all go home and then we can relax. Like, it's just about having a good mindset.
When everybody's getting paid, it's fine where it's like, oh, we got 5 more pages to get through. But when it's like everybody's donating their time, it's a passion project, you have to run a set in a certain way where everybody feels like good about going into those projects. I think if you cross that Rubicon of making it feel like a chore and like the money's not there, and that's the thing that's tough, right? Like, I've talked about this before. Even if you're going to do a short film just for a weekend, it's like $200 in food. I mean, just to get it going for people and stuff like that, like at a minimum. And it's like, that's like the bottleneck. Like, think about it. Like, if you didn't have to pay any money, you could shoot a short film every single weekend. Think about how good you can get in 6 months, even every other weekend. But it's like, there's always a bottleneck. And it's like, when you get people that are willing to do passion projects, like, there should be a bare minimum that you take care of people at. Like, there should be food. You know, it's tough though, because money is, it's really hard to come by in the film industry. And especially in today's day and age, like, AI is taking over everything. People are like, why would I hire you to do a commercial where I can sit down and just have it prompted out? It's like, because it's just not the same. I mean, I think that, you know, you brought up Hollywood. Like, yeah, Hollywood's cool and that stuff. But like, I really do think that if AI doesn't actually take over and ruin the market like completely, because I could honestly see a day and age where it's like, you have your headset or your goggles on or your glasses or whatever, and you're like, I want to watch an action movie that's whatever. You give it a prompt, it's going to know what you like. It's going to know what your attention's, and it could generate it, right? Like, that could happen.
No, don't bring this into the world, Josh.
If it gets to that point, like, we're dead in the water, right? There's no point, like, move on, the industry is dead. But like, at the same time, like, they talk about AI slop, right? So like, when you actually look at this stuff, like, this is not replacing humans right now. No. I think when I get to go in, like, even like if a restaurant wants me to do a commercial for them, and I go in and I talk to the owner and I get to like know him or her and like get to see like the story behind it, not the fact like you're here to try to make a bunch of money because you have a restaurant. No, like, you know, it was your family did this and it's something that you wanted to honor and it's something you enjoy. Like, I can hear that and I can convert that into the video. I can do a short documentary piece on that brings so much to light. And I think AI is probably never going to be able to capture that. So yes, Hollywood's cool and all that, but like, you know, I've heard this example before. You know, Joe Rogan puts out a podcast pretty much every day that's 2 hours worth of content. A Hollywood movie costs hundreds of millions of dollars and takes how long for 2 hours of content? Mm-hmm. I think right now, more than ever, truly independent film, we are in a great spot right now because we can operate at very low numbers and we can put out with gear and what we have access to now. It's insane. I mean, so yeah, like the Hollywood dream would be cool, but to be perfectly honest, I would be just as content finding a great group of people that I make 5 awesome projects with. We hit some short film festivals and like, I don't know, just have that connection. I had brought this up before when we had shot The Hollow Signal. The first day I came back and I was so disappointed in myself because of how sore I was and how out of shape I was for holding a camera all day. The second day I came back and I said to my wife, I said, I don't even care how this project turns out or anything. Like, I've already got what I wanted. Like, we had so much fun. Like, we got to create art together. I feel like everybody got to have their input and, you know, it's like, that's what it's after. So even if truly, if AI did take over and you could still do that stuff, I'm not kidding when I say I feel like I would still continue to like make art this way and like get together with friends and do this stuff.
Yeah,
so yeah,
you absolutely should. And I have turned, I mean, I've always been apathetic about AI, but I've also just felt like I've always stood 10 toes down that I just can't ever like really get behind a project that even has like a little bit of AI in it. You know, it's just like, it's that, then it doesn't have that same level of heart. And I think that I remain actually quite optimistic about the future of AI in that, not that it will progress to become AI movies that you could generate in your mind, but like more like, I just don't think it's hot take. I don't think it's going anywhere. And I think that like, people are kind of, you know, we're terming things AI slop because it's like people know that it's slop. It doesn't have heart behind it. It's going to get old in the next few years and all of this will have been for nothing. So pragmatic.
What I like now is I'm seeing that, you know, when I saw that Sora went under, I was happy.
Yeah,
like to
right?
see it cost these people so much money and like all this investment. And like, I hope it's a failed endeavor. I hope it doesn't work out because if it doesn't, think about it. Everything's going to be media driven from here on out. Mm-hmm. they're going to need us more than ever to make good content.
That's right.
My wife has a company, Iuvo, that she works for, and I edit all their podcasts.
Look at you.
You know, so it's like businesses need, but like, it was funny because they had a company that they reached out to that was like crazy money, and they gave them the first cut. I'm not kidding. They took the 3 images of the 3 people, they put it on one plate, and that was it. Not a single cut, not a single edit, not anything. When I edit these, I listen to the whole thing. I like punch in, I cut out, I do people active listening based on when it makes sense, when it should be there. And I try to like, you know, it's a tech podcast. Tech podcasts are a little bit harder, but I try to pull people in. I try to make it something that's like you'd want to watch and you can get pulled into. Right. AI is not doing that. And for what you pay these companies to like have AI generate these like nonsense edits, like, that's what I think is funny. You see CapCut and all this stuff. Like, I'm not saying that they're bad. Like you mentioned, they're missing something. It's like, yeah, they cut and they do this, but it's not at the right time. It's not with the right emotion. It's not for the right reasoning. It knows to do it, but it doesn't know why.
Yes, exactly. It does not know why. And it's funny. It's funny you mentioned CapCut. I do actually use CapCut. Here's a little fact about me. My partner and I, we have a weekly movie night. And it's like very near and dear to us and our friends. We have everyone come over every week. And for a while, we were just spinning a wheel. Shout out to wheelofnames.com. You've served us really well. And at first, we were just spinning it and taking a picture of who won. And a friend of ours was like, "You guys are rigging the wheel. You guys, like, you know, you're not actually, show us you spinning it." So we started taking a video of us spinning it. And then we started adding in elements of the last movie that we watched, like little things or like jokes about the last movie we watched, almost like MST3K, if people are familiar. Like they would always do like little in-between skits about the movie that we're currently watching. And so we started doing that. Now I am editing every week full productions, like 3 to 4 minute long, like short films about the most recent movie we watched that all ends with the wheel being spun. And it's like, and it feels so dramatic and so silly, but it's like, that's a passion project. And also, I was saying all this because we edit on CapCut, or I edit on CapCut. So I'm like with my phone, like just making all these little things. So, but it does have a lot of AI stuff, just to get back on that. But it's, I just thought about how that level of a passion project is so important for me as an editor. Like I get a lot of experience just editing these silly little things, and my friends get the fun of watching my fiance and I break our backs to make our friends laugh. And yeah, it's all important.
That's awesome. But I will say DaVinci is also free.
I really should. Well, every week he's always like, "Why are you editing on your phone?" Like just like zooming into the timeline and like moving things around. It's like, I know, I really should. I mean, but is the paid version better? Like free version?
The paid
better?
version, the only difference you're going to get is it gives you more like effects. So it's going to give you more titles, more transitions. But as far as like the basic editing cut goes, there's no watermarking, there's no restrictions, there's no, you can't export at this quality. It is the best editor around. We had talked earlier when you first got here. I edited on Premiere for like a decade. Yeah. Premiere's great. I'm not knocking the software at all. And honestly, some of its AI and like stuff that it's gotten it now, like as far as like what it can remove from images and stuff, it's phenomenal. Not knocking it. But when I got the Blackmagic cameras, I ended up getting on DaVinci Resolve. The node editing took a little bit of time to get used to. It seemed like it was daunting and scary and this and that. I watched a couple of videos, and in about 30 minutes, I had an understanding of it. It took me a couple weeks to like get used to it. I would never go back. I think DaVinci Resolve is literally, I don't know why you would edit on anything else when you can just like, if you question me, you can download it for free right now and try it. And again, if you edit on something else, it's going to be a little different. So it's not going to feel quite at home, but I just love the pages. Like there's an, I forget what they call it, maybe like the cut page. I don't really use it, but if you want to edit quick, it lets you use like this really zoomed in view and this really zoomed out view. So you can just like cut and just drop clips in your timeline. The color page is phenomenal. The color correction tools that you have and what you can do on that, you would have to pay and get things added onto Premiere to even come close to it. And it's built all right into Resolve, and you can just download it and try it.
That's amazing, because I'm kind of looking for any reason to cancel my Adobe subscription, because I mean, Premiere is great. But I think it's the reason why I say it's great is because it's the only exposure to an editing software I've had aside from CapCut. I don't count CapCut, but like yeah, Premiere is good. I recognize the interface now, but I don't think I would ever edit, certainly not a feature length, but like, because it's just, I feel like I get too bogged down and then the system starts lagging and I'm just like, I start thinking like, I feel like this is why people make feature lengths with, I think, DaVinci Resolve, probably the paid version, but you know.
It doesn't matter. I'm telling
Yeah.
you. And even for me, like some of the titles I use, but for the most part, like I'm doing my own overlays and my own things where I'm changing opacity. So none of it even matters. And then if you get, I don't do any special effects or any of that stuff, but there's a whole page just for that. The audio page is phenomenal. It's got, you can use EQs built into it, compressors, limiters, gates, like all this stuff just works good. The only AI stuff that I use is the AI voice isolation is crazy. You throw that on, it removes like hums and backgrounds, like stuff that you can't even EQ out if you go in and spend the time to do it, because it can learn and it can do stuff that you can't. So
wow,
that's pretty much the only AI tool that I use, but everything else I color grade myself. I do all that on. And I mean, for people that don't want to get crazy too, like if you're like, listen, I want to jump into this editor, but I don't want to like get too in depth right now. There's something called LUTs, lookup table. You don't have to learn how to color grade just yet. You can drop a LUT. You drag it and you drop it into your project and it will give you a whole look on your image.
Yeah.
You know, you can start with that and then like you'll have your look, edit, figure that out. But the thing that's important too is like, I have a mouse that has a bunch of programmable buttons on the side. I don't have to touch my keyboard. I can do everything just on my mouse. I can cut, I can play, I can zoom in and out of my timeline, and it just makes the editing so much faster. And you can do that on Premiere too. Like that's not just a Resolve's better thing, but there's just so many things you can do in Resolve that just like, it feels like it's a high-end editor. It feels like the way things are supposed to be done. And to your point, when I used Premiere, it's been years since I've used it, but I always felt like that program was bogged down. Once I got to a certain point, it just wasn't loading right. It wouldn't work right. And I've had projects where like the audio would just stop playing and cut out. It wouldn't load again. I re-imported. I tried everything. I rebuilt the database. Wouldn't work. I've never had that problem on Premiere or on DaVinci Resolve one time. Every now and then, I've probably in the last couple of years, I've had maybe like 5 random crashes, which I mean, it's bound to happen with any software and hardware, you know, combinations. But like for the most part, it just works and it works the way it's supposed to. I couldn't be more happy with it.
That's all you can ask for, I guess.
Yeah. So now that I just went on a huge DaVinci rant and rave, we'll get back to the podcast at hand here. So moving forward, you know, what can people look to you for? Are you trying to get acting roles? Are you trying to direct? Like if somebody was sitting there and they're like, hey, I like Carolyn, I'd like to work with her. What's the pitch? What could they snag you for?
Well, first of all, I would say thank you very much. But I would also say that I think that I'm still really trying to balance my what I called my day job earlier, like working in terms of like geosciences and climate. Like I'm always interested in doing documentary work, particularly if it's like environmentally minded or climate forward. But aside from that, and I also think that I could just really work well in a documentary setting. It's something I'd love to get more experience in. I worked on several documentaries last year with a local director, Perry Hallinan, and we're going to be doing something soon for Holyoke about like the city infrastructure. And like, that's a really fun thing to do. And I love working with Perry. So I'd love to do more documentary work, but I would also definitely want to try my hand more at acting, I'd say. Like, I would really love to be able to put together an acting reel, so to speak, and feel like I want to be a part of projects in a way that I hadn't previously been before. Like, I love being behind the camera. That's never going to change. But I also feel like there's something different about being at like maybe a premiere and being able to say, like, people can look at me and be like, you were in that thing I just watched, rather than being like, you framed that shot I just watched. They wouldn't say that because they don't know. Not to say that I need someone to tell me like, oh, you did such a good job. But it's certainly, I feel more of like a cohesive part of the project if I'm acting in it, or maybe I just want to try my hand at acting more. Maybe that's it.
Maybe you just had such a good experience with an awesome project that you're like, damn, acting's sweet.
Yeah, this Josh guy is the shit.
You're going to work on another project. You're like, oh, this one's not the same. Like,
but this isn't a Runningscaredmotionpictures project.
If people wanted to find you, where's the best place to do so?
Definitely on Instagram. It's CSIC, CEE_SIC. And I definitely have to change my name on Facebook because I think that just having my first and middle initial is not conducive to people finding me. So, but yeah. And I'm also definitely working on getting a website together. So hopefully that will be in the works, but not quite yet.
Well, if anybody's watching this and you're looking for an actress, I can't recommend anybody more. You showed up, you had literally the best attitude out of anybody on set all day. You kept your energy up the entire time. You made the set so much more enjoyable, and I thought you killed it in your acting role. So
Thank you, Josh.
I would say reach out and pick her up for your project, because if not, you're missing out.
That's right.
Is there anything else you'd like to add or say before we wrap up here?
No, I think I've said it all. I just really appreciate you having me on and allowing me to talk for several hours now.
No, well,
I mean, on and off camera.
Well, thanks for coming on. No, and again, I hope to do a lot more projects with you in the future. So
I'm sure we will.
Fun. So
yeah.
stay safe and stay creative.